Hello Facebook, hello YouTube, what's up everybody? This is Reuben. I'm back again with another Reuben report, and today we are going to be continuing the MPG improvement series part 4.2. Basically, after installing the new 13-tooth sprocket yesterday and seeing the drastic results that we have accomplished with that, now today we are going to be testing what kind of impacts it has on the overall top speed of the bike and the MPG performance of the bike. So just like last time with the 45-tooth rear sprocket upgrade, or upgrade 3.1 and 3.2, I'm going to do two sections. I'm going to first test its highway performance and top speed performance, and then I'm going to test its casual, usual MPG performance that I would generally be riding the bike for my new daily commute. So back roads, 65 miles an hour tops, trying to pretty much adhere to all the same rules and all the same riding style that I have in the conditions that I've tested the bike prior. So we do know that the benchmark so far when it comes to the highway MPG performance from the last gearing, I think with the 14-45 gear ratio on the highway, I achieved 42 mpg and a top speed of 80 miles an hour. And so we'll test to see what kind of MPG performance and what type of top speed we'll be hitting on the highway, but just take that as a benchmark. And then for the normal commute, the best achieved MPG so far was 58.6. And yeah, what I will also be monitoring would be the speed I achieve at usual RPM ranges. We've also observed from yesterday that around 5,000 RPMs, I've already seen a loss in about 3 to 4 miles an hour. So I'm just curious what type of speeds I will be achieving at 6,000 RPMs or 7,000 RPMs. What type of RPMs do I have to achieve in order to maintain or achieve the same cruising speeds as prior? And also, the ultimate question is, will these higher RPMs equate to better or worse gas mileage? And so we're going to find out. I'm going to go ahead and head to the gas station right now, top off, and then we're going to make our run for the highway. All right. All right, here we are again. I actually had to conserve battery on my camera because I didn't notice that I forgot to swap the batteries before I headed out. So I didn't get as much highway footage as I wanted, but I got enough to show the most important results. So I'm rolling off here, and I'm going to be merging onto the highway here soon. Once we get there. Now, accelerating, getting up to highway speeds is a lot easier. I was able to achieve 70 easily. I'm able to attain and achieve 70 easily. The only reason I'm not going faster at this specific point in time just because of traffic. But later on, we start to hit over 80 indicated, a little over 80, around right here. It was like twitching between 81 and 82. Pretty much traffic is what kind of dictated my top speed, but there's also another section where I flip my camera up, and you guys don't really get to see the the RPMs and the odometer. But what you also can see, the tachometer is pretty much buried past 8,000 RPMs, going around 70 now. And once I actually get into red line, that's when I start achieving the maximum speed. So here I'm all the way in red line, and you know, I'm holding it, and the bike very easily gets in the red line now. Whether I'm going uphill, whether I'm going downhill, whether I'm on flat ground, regardless. Whether there's wind, you guys can see my windshield. There was a bit of a headwind and a bit of a crosswind today as well. Didn't matter. I was in red line pushing it. Okay, and here is where I flip the camera up, and I'm not even in the slow lane no more. I actually have the audacity to get into the fast lane and pass folks up, because I have the confidence now that the bike can push and maintain decent highway speeds, which is around 75 miles an hour. Okay, GPS that is. But so I'm pushing and pushing in the fast lane, no worries. I don't have to hug the slow lane no more. I'm going slightly uphill, still passing folks. Have no issue with attaining and maintaining highway speeds now. And later on at the end, we'll see what my top speed that I achieved is with this new gearing setup. But although the bike is not very like super fast, I'm able to go in a fast lane with confidence. I'm able to ride the bike on the highway with a lot more confidence. And I might not be the fastest bike out there, but I'm okay with being in the fast lane or in the middle lane. I don't have to stay in the slow lane and be subjected to wind or hills or whatever else that may be thrown my way. I don't have to be cautious because I don't want to say I don't have to be mindful of my environmental surroundings as much, because I have confidence in the bike now and its ability to be able to push up hills, push up against wind, and stay at a steady speed. Okay, with the previous gearings before, I had to downshift. I don't have to downshift no more. 6th gear has just as much pulling power as any other gear, and I don't have to, do a full tuck or any of that. I just sit up straight, bike goes. It's great. Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys continue to watch this clip. It's actually gonna end here pretty soon, actually, because again, didn't get much footage of being on the highway. Right after this, I actually got off just for a little bit and turned the camera off, but I got back on the highway, just because I wanted to save battery. All right, I'll see you guys for the backroads clip. All right, here we are again on the back roads. Pretty much my usual commute that I will be having. So, paying very close attention to the RPMs here. I'm in 6th gear, and I'm hovering around 8,000 RPMs. So, if you guys remember from the previous gearing change that I did, which was the 45 tooth rear sprocket alone, so 14-45 gearing ratio, in order to achieve 70 indicated, or try to keep it below 70 indicated, I was pretty much hovering around 7,000 RPMs. Okay, I was hovering around 7,000 RPMs, and that was depending on whether it was hills or whatever had you. That's where I would hit around 65 miles an hour GPS. So the indicated speed would kind of fluctuate, but 65 miles an hour GPS was attained around 7,000 RPMs. Now I have to hit 8,000 RPMs or hover around 8,000 RPMs in order to achieve the same speed. So the bike definitely does rev higher, just like with the illustration that I did with my bicycle not too long ago. When you drop gears on a bicycle, obviously in order to go the same speed as you would have gone in a higher gearing, you're just gonna have to pedal a lot faster, and that's exactly what the engine's doing. It's revving a lot faster, revving not a lot, but slightly higher to keep up with the same speed. And I just have to have a little bit of a confession here, because generally when I do these MPG tests, I am slowly letting out the clutch, slowly giving the bike gas to go off the line in a very conservative fashion. I was not doing that today. The bike, I'm just having too much fun on this thing, man. It's a lot more responsive, and I pretty much was like, you know what, I'm gonna just keep up with traffic, because in reality I'm probably not going to be doing that anyway on my actual commute. I'm not going to be riding a bike as like a grandma. All right, so I pretty much accelerated in a decent fashion. I wasn't going to 5,000 RPMs or whatever the RPM range was of the other gearing ratio. I pretty much threw that whole riding style out of the window. I also wasn't just launching it like a rocket either. I was just going at a decent speed. Okay, and I think the main reason why I did that is because had I tried to maintain that 5,000 RPM thing, the bike goes through the gears a lot more quickly. Okay, so from first to 5,000 RPMs, I mean, I'm not going as fast as I was with the previous gearing. It makes sense. So I go through the gears quite a bit faster now, but on the flip side, I can also cruise at lower speeds in higher gears as well. It's kind of a give and take, I don't necessarily have as much top speed, or I do have to rev a little bit higher to achieve and maintain certain speeds, but the bike just pulls me better. And I'm pretty sure if I was to rocket launch this thing off the line, I'd probably accelerate up to max speed quite quickly. All right. Another thing that I was observing, not only with the max RPMs that I was achieving, but also when I would come to a full stop, usually when I'm doing very, very low speed stuff, like I'm maybe bumper to bumper traffic, instead of having to be in first gear, I was actually in second gear. So I was in second gear doing single digit stuff. So that also helped keep the RPMs down a bit, being able to stay in higher gears at lower speeds. So again, it's a trade-off. I don't roll off of the line necessarily as slow as I was doing prior with the higher gearing, but I'm sort of able to achieve that same thing if I wanted to by just being in a higher gear, because the bike can pull itself in higher gears now without an issue. Alright, so I'm just going to let you guys continue to watch this clip and observe the speeds that I'm achieving at the RPMs. At 5,000 RPMs, I'm pretty much 45 miles an hour indicated. At 6,000 RPMs, I'm like very low 50s. At 7,000 RPMs, I'm somewhere like mid 50s or high 50s, and then 8,000 RPMs is where I was in those mid to high 60s, staying around 65 miles an hour GPS. All right. Alright guys, I am back home finally, and man, today was a hot one out today. That's my jacket there. It's more of like a all-season windproof, rainproof type jacket. Not much airflow, so I'm waiting on another like a summer jacket to come in that I found on Amazon, and because it was like 79 degrees out today, so very high 70s, and yeah, it was starting to get quite sweaty. Anyway, the bike performed amazing. I was very pleased to hit the top speed that we did hit today, and not only hitting it, but also being able to maintain it a lot easier. No longer was my top speed dictated by headwinds and hills. I was able to dictate my top speed with my throttle hand. And it's nice to have, that assurance and that ability to manipulate how fast you want to go versus being subjected to your environment and the elements. All right, so when it comes to my top speed, I'm going to go ahead and put up the screenshot now. So from that screenshot, you have seen that the top speed that we achieved today was 76 miles an hour. 76 miles an hour was basically spot on with the calculations that I have done prior. I basically calculated the gear ratio and what type of effect it would have on top speed, and that's pretty much it. So 76 miles an hour is my new top speed with this gear ratio, with this setup. But again, on the highway, in reality, I was almost never hitting these advertised top speed for this bike anyway, which is 84. Never hit it. Previously, with stock gearing, going slightly downhill, I was able to achieve 79, and then with the 1445 gear setup, I was able to achieve 80. Again, going slightly downhill. So now, just flat ground, red line, I'm able to hit 76 miles an hour. And whether I'm going uphill, doesn't matter. I probably lost just a little bit, maybe 75, but still I'm able to keep closer to my top speed a lot more consistently, and that's very key for riding on the highway, at least for me. Now, when it comes to my MPG performance, now this one was quite surprising. My theory of lowering the gearing and allowing the bike to pull me a lot easier and pull me a lot better, I really think it paid off, because in total we traveled 26.1 miles from filling up at the gas station to reaching the next gas station, and we utilized 0.06 gallons. 0.506, excuse me, 0.506. I'll put the screenshot up now. Yeah, I only had a screenshot of the gallons that I use. I just had to do a little bit of, calculations with my backup GPS, which was Google Maps, of the distance that I traveled, and it was 26.1 miles, and we achieved a MPG performance of 51.58 gallons. So that is great. I am happy with getting over 50 MPG on the highway. That is fine to me. I'm not mad at that at all. For the back roads, okay, riding on the back roads, I did have to change my riding a bit. The same thing with on the freeway as well. Obviously, the bike goes in the red line now, so it revs a whole lot higher than what it did before. But going on the back roads, I no longer was cruising around 7,000 RPMs. I was cruising closer to 8,000 RPMs. So at 8,000 RPMs, I was riding and basically attaining the same speed, around 70 or a little bit below it. So I was flirting in between 7,500 to 8,000 RPMs the majority of the way. So on the top end, my RPMs are higher. However, the MPG performance has shown that regardless of the engine revving higher, I still attained better MPG performance. So I'm going to put these screenshots up right now. Okay, so for that one, I did make sure that I took pictures, and we went a total of 31.1 miles, and we used, I believe, 0.523 gallons, so around a half a gallon as well. And for the back roads, or my actual commute to work, we achieved 59.4 miles to the gallon. So we're barely off. I will have to confess, I was definitely not babying the throttle on the back roads, and as far as launching from a dead stop, because with this lower gearing, if I was to do that, I would literally be rolling like a grandma. So admittedly, there's probably a little bit of MPG performance that was squandered there. Having a little bit too much fun now. But I think it's a more accurate representation of what this bike can actually do, because I'm definitely not going to be, you know, riding it like a grandma. I'm just going to be, you know, not rocket launching it off the line, but going off the line at a decent steady pace, keeping up with traffic. So 59.4 mpg is what we have achieved. We pretty much have hit our goal. I'm just gonna call that almost 60. Probably could have done 60 if I wasn't, you know, going so fast off the line. So that pretty much concludes this series. So can you improve your MPG with all the different upgrades that we have done? And our test and the experiment has proven yes. Number one, rider's behavior is the number one increase to your MPG performance. Number two will be the spark plug. 3 will be a gearing change depending on your weight and the load that's on the bike on the bike. Okay, if you're a much heavier rider like myself, let the bike you know, pull you a lot easier by dropping the gearing. Okay, your top speed that you could have achieved, you're not going to miss it. You never could achieve it anyway. Go ahead and drop the gearing on the bike. It'll have a lot easier time pulling you and pulling itself. Also, if you just want to drop the gearing to get a lot more low-end torque for off-road riding, or I don't know, you just want to be able to do low-speed maneuvers a lot easier, I would still recommend that you drop the gearing. The 13.2 front sprocket, I'm just going to go ahead and say, if you weigh 200 pounds or more, just go ahead and get it. You're doing yourself a favor. That 2 to 3 miles an hour at the top end, that's you know, wasn't attainable anyway. You're not going to miss it. You know, just go ahead and do yourself a big favor and make the bike a lot more maneuverable, a lot more safer, just give it a whole lot more performance all around. Okay, whether that's MPG performance or just the bike having a much easier time pulling itself and pulling you. Okay, so that concludes this series for now. The only other thing I can really think of changing, which I'm probably going to have to change here soon, is the oil and the chain once I wear it down a bit. So the miles that we are at now, 1,337, and the oil, looks like I need another oil change. So next video coming soon. I'm gonna be doing a oil change, switching to synthetic oil finally, and yeah, so stay tuned for that. All right, be safe out there, guys. Peace.